Hello, I'm James Leslie with Engineered Floors Commercial Division, and we're certainly glad to be here today. I want to say before we even get started, I do not like large group Zoom calls. In fact, I can't stand them. But in light of COVID, what choices do we have? So we're going to try to get through this thing together. I also want to warn you in advance that a couple of things I might say today could come off a little arrogant. Sometimes, though, the facts are just the facts. And I'm trying to give you as much of a clean and clear perspective of the industry as I can today. One of the reasons I stay paranoid about being arrogant is humility is a cornerstone of the cultures at Engineered Floors. People ask me all the time, what is it like to work for Mr. Shaw? And I tell them it's a lot like playing football for Alabama. If you've ever watched Alabama on the field, you know, they could be up 4 touchdowns and they miss a block and Saban goes crazy on the sidelines because he can't stand complacency. We're sort of the same way. If you want what I call a coaching opportunity with Mr. Shaw, just tell him you did a really good job. Or we had a great month last month. He'll go, oh, really? What about this or what about that? And the reason, he's not trying to be a smart aleck. He's trying to let you know that you can always do better. And that drive to do better is what makes our company as successful as it is. Mr. Shaw played football. A lot of you may not know that. It was a long time ago, probably before they had face shields. He said, we played real football, not like the football today, but he played quarterback for Dalton High School, one of the 2 left-handed quarterbacks in the history of the school. And so we have a lot of football sayings at work. He uses a lot of football analogies for business. And one of his favorite ones is, hey, if you score a touchdown, there's no need to dance. Just throw the ball to the ref and go back to the bench. So we try to stay humble, but by the same token, we have had a measure of success. So we want to balance humility with at least transparency that we do recognize we've been very successful over the last 10 years. I'm going to do my best not to make this all gloom and doom. But I also got to tell you, we're still in tough times in the commercial side of business. It's very tough. Now, there's some good things that can happen in tough times. Studies show, and we've actually experienced it, but market share shifts occur more in down markets than in up markets. Sometimes difficult times help you find better ways to be more efficient and better as a company. So in other words, in tough times, the strong get stronger. What you've got to do is make sure your company is one of those companies that's taking market share. The other piece of good news I guess I can give you this morning is that I don't know when, I'm not going to predict when, but sometime this year we are going to emerge from a COVID economy to a post-COVID economy. And that's something we're all looking forward to. It seems like we have been in virus world forever. In fact, if you think about it, a year ago, we were in Palm Springs together. And that may have been some of the last trips a lot of you have taken. So it's been a long year, but it's only been a year. So we're on the back side of this, and that was the good news. We are working our way, I guess you could call into the final term. We've got more to go, but it is going to end. Several topics I'm going to cover today. I'm going to talk about current business trends. I'm going to talk about what issues we see facing the industry this year versus last year, what new issues are coming at us. And most importantly, I'm going to try to give you some ideas on how you can improve your business. Now that I have the housekeeping items out of the way, I want to say a very, very sincere thanks for the business. I don't know if all of you guys realize this, but both J&J and EF Contract had growth with Fuse last year. To have growth in an economy, in an industry that shrank 20 to 22% is just absolutely phenomenal, and we truly, truly appreciate it. With that said, that couldn't have happened without closer trust and working together. People use the term partnership, and when I hear it, I feel like somebody's trying to grab my wallet. So they've really co-opted that in a bad way. So I don't want to use the word partnership, but I can tell you that the level of trust collectively between ourselves and you guys is growing, and that trust is reflecting in a better business and more business together, and we really, really appreciate it. Now, with that said, In 2021, we've got to earn your business every day. We know that. And we're going to work hard to do that. We also know we didn't grow with everybody. Now, some of you are in markets that are so tough, it was impossible to have growth with us, and we understand that. But we're going to work together next year to figure out ways we can help each other grow. 2021, what do we expect? Well, before I can get too much into 2021, we got to at least take a look at 2020, as painful as it was. But I will say this on 2021. The one thing you should remember, if you remember nothing else from this morning, there is no longer a national economy. We have regional economies. And those regional differences are as great and as large as I've ever seen them in my 35 years in this business. Now, the worst, and you guys know all this, the worst areas of the Northeast and the West, major metros, certain selective major metro cities are very bad. Unfortunately, I don't see those trends going to change next year. And so if you're in one of those really tough regions, you're going to have to work super hard to make sure you do what you've got to do to keep going. And you guys know all that. But that regional differences really makes it hard to kind of talk about the national economy, but we're going to do that. Well, let's look at 2020 as a look back. Full year flooring. And this is a compilation of a lot of different inputs of data. So it may not tie to any exact study that you've seen. We look at a lot of different variables, and this is really a compilation of those. But full year industry 2020, 18 to 22% down for commercial flooring. That's tough. I guess another piece of not so great news is the fourth quarter was about the same run rate. Now the second was our worst quarter last year, but fourth quarter was still probably down 18 to 20%. We were hoping to see a little improvement in the fourth, and it didn't happen. But carpet, now that was flooring. That was what we look at as flooring. That's mainly carpet and LVT. I'm not going to get too much into ceramic because I really don't have the best data there for you. But carpet and LVT, 18 to 22% down. Carpet only, carpet was even worse, 23 to 28% down. Pretty bad. LVT, and this is a harder number to get to because there's no real good industry data, but LVT was probably 5 to 10% up. And we also look at import data out of Korea. A lot of LVT for commercial comes out of Korea, and that's really the number that we believe in commercial, 5 to 10% up. Now you're going to see studies of LVT growing 20, 25%. Those are mainly residentially driven numbers because residential LVT has been on fire last year. The residential market has been very good. Those of you that are blessed with both sides of the business know that. But COVID has helped residential and hurt commercial. That was the story of last year. Well, that's 2020. I'm tired of talking about 2020. I'm sure you're tired of thinking about it. Let's talk about 2021. Now, I'm not going to go out and I've done some of this earlier, and I really realized that's an exercise in futility. We're going to talk about the first 6 months of 2021 because I have no idea what the post-vaccine world is going to do and at what pace that is going to increase. In fact, I've seen a lot of studies. Some say this, some say that there's no consensus. So forget the second half of the year for now. Let's just forget it. Let's talk about what we do know, the first quarter. Our best read, and we're already halfway into the first quarter, but our best read on the first quarter is the industry is going to be down 15 to 20%. Now that's about a 3 to 4% improvement over the fourth quarter. Now that's going to be what's happened with what I call the mega storm so far in February. That's going to press that number down somewhat. That's certainly been a negative impact on the business for the last 10 days. So the storms of February definitely are going to slow things down 15 to 20%. Now, here's where it gets a little interesting. You take the first quarter and then put what I call a normal seasonality on it. For the last 30 years, except for last year, second quarter is better than first quarter, and that's not any kind of news flash to you guys. So you take first quarter, that projection of 15 to 20% down, put seasonality on it. The second quarter is going to be up 12 to 18% because we all know second quarter was horrendous last year. I mean, awful, the worst in history. So how does that all look? First 6 months, even with 2020. You can say, well, that's pretty good news. At least we're not shrinking. But when you compare it to 2019, we're going to be down about 15%. So it's still not going to feel good. I don't think it's going to get any worse than we have been, but I don't think it's going to feel really good. Let's go to some industry issues. Freight, and I'm going to talk about ocean freight and land freight. Container shortages are continuing to be a problem. China is sucking up all the containers in the world. It's getting really difficult to get ocean ships. There's a constraint on supply there where there's new environmental regulations. A lot of them had to be taken out of commission and retrofitted. So there's a shortage of ships and a shortage of containers. What does that mean for us? It means that LVT deliveries are probably running 2 weeks later than they were this time last year. And that can impact availability, and LVT availability is certainly something that's going to be something to think about. I mentioned earlier, most of the commercial LVT comes out of Korea. Not all of it, but a big part of it. And if China's sucking up all the containers, there's a shortage of containers in Korea as well, and that's something we're working through as we speak. Let's go to land freight, truck drivers. Well, I didn't even touch on the ports. You guys probably know the ports are backed up. Savannah last week, they had 12 ships sitting outside Savannah. They couldn't even get in the port because of COVID. There's not enough labor to get the ships unloaded, so that's another delay and another thing we have to look at this year. Land freight, driver shortages are getting bad. COVID has not helped that at all. So what does this all mean for you? On land freight, for your job, I would expect another week on freight. If you were planning something with normal delivery, I'd add a week because we'll get our carpet ready, but I can't speak for any freight line, and so I would pad most of my planning by a week. Let's speak to LVT availability. I mentioned that the freight issues. What does that mean? We have drastically increased our inventory levels on LVT. Planning for this, we brought in extra inventory. Some companies have that are running pretty good. Our cash flow is very positive. Residential business is very good, so we're not cash constrained. So we're betting heavily with inventory right now. But it does mean that if you have a hot product, and one of those is Legend, which is a J&J LVT, it takes probably 2 or 3 weeks extra to catch up to that as it has done in the past. So some of you may have had issues in the last 6 or 8 weeks with Legend. We are getting that back in shape, and it's going to be good. Let's go to service overall. We leveraged excellent service in 2020 to take market share. It's one of the things we did. Our delays are still less than 1%. That's pre-COVID and post-COVID, all last year, all this year, less than 1%. We believe we're the best in service in the industry. When we give you a delivery date, we are going to hit it or do everything in our power to hit it 99% of the time. Now, to do that, we're having to bring in overtime because we're labor constrained with COVID too, with quarantines and whatnot, but we're able to do it. Now, for some mills, from a cash flow standpoint, service is still going to be an issue. All I can tell you is we're not planning on being one of those mills. And it's really hard for you to understand, but it's harder to service or run a mill in slow times versus hard times. These mills are set to run 6-7 days a week, and when you have to start them and stop them, the startup issues, believe it or not, it's much easier to service a mill when it's busy than when it's slow. So you're going to have some service issues from our competitors, and I'm just telling you, it's a fact of life, and you need to plan for it. Now, I'm not here to put gloom and doom or scare you, but you just need to be prudent in your planning. Raw materials. You guys are probably following what's going on with raw materials. Even with weak business levels, all the mills raised prices in the first quarter. You're like, there's no business. Why are you raising price? Because our raw materials have made a big move. The current administration is doing everything they can to push oil prices up. They passed $60 a barrel already. I think they're going to go to 70. And so those oil price, we're all raw material basis from carpet. That's going to flow through, and raw materials are going to be a fact of life we're going to have to deal with in the coming year. Residential demand has been very good, so that also puts pressure on supply chains and raw materials. I know it's crazy if you're just in commercial to even think about, but residential in the fourth quarter last year was 10% over the prior year. Not our company, just the industry. We were actually more than that. So residential business is very, very good, and that puts raw material pressure on pricing. Now, I said everything wasn't going to be gloom and doom, so you're probably saying to yourself, okay, James, what is the good news that you've told me so far today? Well, remember this, I said it earlier, you can take share in down markets. How do I know that? We did. We took more share last year in 12 months than we did in the prior 24. We grew our business versus our competitors. How did we do that? No real surprises here. Service. We think we have the best service in the industry. Quality. Those are the things that you can use to drive and take market share. So what does that look like for you? Installation quality, estimation timing. Are you staying on time with your promises, with your work crews on your jobs? Those things matter to customers, and if you're going to stand out versus your competition, then you're going to take share. Let me touch a little bit on quality again. Last year in Palm Springs, you may not remember, but I said I'm going to do something that had never been done in the carpet industry as far as I knew. There were 300 people in the room, and I asked you guys to raise your hand if anybody had had an up curl problem on our carpet tile. Now, a lot of people probably thought I was crazy because that could have been a real train wreck. I knew going in we did not have up curl claims. None of you raised your hand, but we haven't had any up curl claims this year either. Our carpet tile quality is the best in the industry. I will tell you, no other competitor will stand in front of you in a large group and ask that same question. Our LVT is made in factories that we check and recheck for quality all the time. All of our plants have 100% continuous lamination, and they have extended cooling times. And you can say, James, what's all that technical mumbo jumbo mean? Continuous lamination, cooling, what does all this stuff mean? Basically, it means our LVT doesn't shrink and it lays flat, period. We've had no up curl claims on our LVT in 3 years. A lot of mills can't say that either. I will also tell you, we currently will not accept product from some mills, from some LVT suppliers that supply our competitors today. What do we know that they don't? We cannot afford to let LVT affect the reputation of this company. We feel like we have the best quality in carpet. We want to have the best quality in LVT as well. Now, if you're not buying LVT from us, I could arrogantly say, why aren't you? I will ask you to take a fresh look at our LVT products because we think we have some of the best styling. We know we have the best quality in the industry. So what can you do in a down market? Cry in your beer? Complain? That's not going to help your business. What you need to do is develop a plan. Look at your business. Develop a business model. Who are you planning to partner with this year as a supplier? That should be a strategic decision to say on your discretionary business, who are we going to try to grow with? Don't let it just be happen chance, random. Oh, Billy bought me a lunch last week, so I'll go give them that's not a way to run a business. You need to be strategically thinking who's going to grow and tie yourself to companies that are investing in the business and are going to be here on the long haul. What is your real advantage in the marketplace versus your competitors? You need to understand that. One of the best ways to differentiate yourself is innovation. That's really just a fancy way of saying, of bringing new ideas to your customers. More importantly, innovation allows you to move from a vendor to a solutions provider. And that's how you take market share. So how can you be innovative with our products? You can be innovative with others as well, but how can you be innovative with our products? So first and foremost is kinetics. Every time you hit a job that has moisture issues, your first thought should be kinetics. Why kinetics? It's the only product that's 100% breathable. Nothing else is. It has the simplest moisture warranty in the industry. It's one page. Now, Jeff Gordon gets passionate about a lot of warranties from mills, and we've had conversations, so don't take our word for it. Ask Jeff Gordon, who's got the simplest warranty in the industry. No exclusions. You don't need to be a lawyer to read it. Some of these ones are really kind of refer to section 3.4 and then go back to 5, and by the time you're through, you need a lawyer to look through the warranty. You don't need that with ours. No exclusions. We don't exclude for subgrade moisture. Everybody else does. Remember with kinetics, the moisture solutions of kinetics take no additional time for floor prep or no additional cost. It always amazes me with moisture mitigation. Why would you want to take on the liability of moisture mitigation when you can provide kinetics, avoid liability, save the customer money, and more importantly, put money in your pocket as well? To me, that's a classic win-win-win. The second innovation is PET carpet tile. you know we offered those last year. PET offers you to allow your customers new price points in tile that have never been available before. Now, our PET fiber is not like everybody else's. We call ours TerraPlex, and our fiber is 40% thicker than competitive PET fibers. We've tested them in actual real-world walk test, not in some lab in some beaker. We've put them on the floor and we've tested them versus nylon head-to-head, and they perform equal to nylon. We spent over $500,000 in 2 years developing our PET fiber system for commercial. Most other people just took a residential fiber they were running and dumped it into products. So I want to be real careful when I tell you all PET carpets are not the same. Now, PET is going to take market share from nylon in commercial. In residential, that market share shift has already happened. PET is the largest fiber system in carpet by a factor of 3x versus nylon. Now, for an old nylon guy like myself, that's mind-boggling. Nylon was the biggest fiber system in carpet 10 years ago. Now it's PET. That change has all happened over the last 10 years. Now, is that change going to be as dramatic in commercial as it was residential? No. But is PET going to offer new solutions to people and for clients to take advantage of it, put those solutions in customers' operations? Absolutely. I like to say it's like this. The PET bus is coming. Now, you can buy a ticket and get on the bus and ride it, or you can get run over by it. You've got to figure that out. The next thing I want to talk about is new product innovation. We launched last year in J&J and EF Contract 36 products in the middle of the pandemic. I'm not aware of any of our competitors that did that same thing. Most stopped sampling, stopped launches, stopped innovating. So if you're going to bring fresh ideas to your customers, you need new products. We said we will take share in the downturn by launching new products and new innovation in the marketplace, and it paid off for us. You got to ask yourself, what innovations are you pushing out to your customers? I've given you a couple of ideas with our products. I'm sure there are thousands. Ardex probably has new floor preps. There's other products, there's ceramic, there's other surfaces. We understand that. You've got to understand how to be that innovation provider to your clients because you're the expert. That takes you from selling it to being a product expert. You need to look at your business in every phase that you're doing as you build those business plans. Evaluate everything. Every touch point with a customer needs to be evaluated. We've taken that approach in our business, our order entry process, every process along the way, our manufacturing, our feedback, our emails, acknowledgments, everything we do, we've taken a fresh look at and we found better ways to do that. I encourage you to do the same thing. Now, after doing that ourselves, I have to warn you, that process is exhausting and sometimes you can get a little jaded because it feels like all you're doing is finding problems. Those problems are really opportunities to improve. I'll tell you a story in closing. I used to work for Julian Saul at Queen Carpet, if you don't know. I came into Shaw Industries through Queen's acquisition. Queen had 3 or 4 brands, Queen, Tuftex, Design Weave, Packcraft. Some of those are still around. But Julian was an interesting guy, total entrepreneur, totally passionate about carpet. And he was a product guy. It's rare for a guy that owns a company to be such a product guy as Julian was. And he really kind of kindled my passion for innovation when I worked there. But Julian was friends with Bernie Marcus, who was the CEO of Home Depot. And they would fly around the country from time to time and go play golf. Wherever they would go, Bernie would have to go into a Home Depot store and see what's going on. So Bernie would go in with Julian, and they went to a store one day, and Bernie walked in, and he starts raising hell. I mean, nothing's right. He's looking. We don't have batteries. I tell you guys to watch inventory. No inventory. We can't sell. What are you doing? Look at your 2x4s. They aren't right. This isn't right. That isn't right. I mean, he was walking around just ripping the manager probably and giving, letting him know what was wrong. Well, a little old lady came up to Bernie with an orange apron on, and she said, "Mr. Marcus, I just want to thank you. This company has changed my life. I've started working again. I have a family here at Home Depot. You've created a new life for myself, and I just want to thank you for that opportunity. Well, Bernie just melts. You know, he gives her a hug, and he walks around, he puts his arm around the manager of the store, and he finds about 5 or 6 things that they're doing right, and says, this is good, you know, you got some opportunities to improve, but all in all, you're making progress, and that's what we want. And they get out in the car with Julian, and he sits there, and when they're cranking up the car, he goes, sometimes I want to sell every friggin' share of stock at Home Depot I have. I get so frustrated. But then I think to myself, if I can't find anything wrong, if we can't find anything wrong, how are we ever going to get better? So I'll leave you with that thought as you go through your business plans this year. I hope we're going to have a tough year, as I said. I hope you are one of the companies that's taking share. We want to help you take share together. Have a great year. Don't get discouraged. It is coming. The end of this virus is coming. So let's go have a good year together. Thank you.